Welcome to the Morrison Report. Hosted by Deval Morrison, sales representative for Parcel Real Estate Limited Brokerage. Ms. Morrison has co-authored the best-selling book, Success Today, with Brian Tracy, and has been interviewed on NBC, ABC, and CBS affiliates by Bob Guinea from The Bachelor. Deval, a real estate investor, has spoken to many attendees at her real estate seminars and is currently ranked in the top 5% of agents in her brokerage. Join me in welcoming your host, Deval Morrison.
Welcome to the Morrison Report. I really wanted to create a podcast that would help give people insights into the Toronto real estate market. You can follow me on Twitter at Deval Morrison and on Instagram as Deval Morrison. And you can like my business page on Facebook. On today's episode, we're going to be interviewing Michelle Bennett. She is an interior designer who works with budget-conscious homeowners. So Michelle, tell us a little bit more about some of the biggest mistakes that you see people making in their decorating.
Sure. Well, first, I just wanted to say thank you so much for having me. I am a lover of podcasts, so I'm really, really excited to be here. But yeah, as far as mistakes go, I generally find there's one big mistake that homeowners make, and it's not the things like hanging your curtains wrong or your artwork wrong, which, by the way, many people do wrong, but it's actually before all of that. So the biggest mistake is really not creating a plan. So a decorating plan, if you will. So if you want, I could actually go through, I have a 5-step process for what I recommend homeowners do in order to kind of kickstart their decorating on the right foot. Is that something you want me to go over?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. That sounds great.
Okay. So the first thing, and this is really, really important as far as new homeowners go, which I assume a lot of your listeners will be new homeowners. So it's really to get to know your space. What I find, and I've been guilty of this myself, to be honest, but I do find that people tend to just get ahead of themselves and start going crazy with their decorating, and they're buying the furniture, but they don't get to know their space. So what I really mean by that is finding out and really getting to know, how do you use the room? How do you want to use the room? So sometimes those are two very different things. What are the traffic patterns like? Which rooms do you use the most? So this is the thing where I'd like people to try to take 1 to 2 months, 2 months ideally, to really just get it and go, what are the, every home has kind of like little quirks, if you will, right? So getting to know all of that stuff is really important before investing any money into the home. So step 2 I recommend is really finding inspiration and then giving your style a name. Basically, this is where you kind of have a heyday on Pinterest, which we all love.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then this can actually happen while you're getting to know your home. So you're not just lounging around going hey, here I am, getting to know my home. I like to call that stage kind of like the dating your home stage.
Okay, cool.
But while you're dating your home, you're finding inspiration. So basically, you're just going to go crazy. If you don't already know what you love, this is the time to kind of go crazy, search for all different types of styles, basically try to really learn what the different styles are. And if you don't know styles to even look up, I've created a freebie for your listeners.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's just a little tool to help them. It gives all the steps, number 1, but figuring out your style is a little more in depth. And it's, I don't want to get into too many details right here. So they can go to michellebennett.com/Devel. So MICHELLEBINETTE.com/Devel. And basically what it does is there's a style wheel. So what I recommend is it's kind of like the color wheel. It's got a series of styles all around it.
Yeah.
And they can just basically, one by one, if you really have no idea what styles exist, what styles you like, just start searching them in Google, in Pinterest. And when you start to find the ones that you like, pin them and then give the name of the style so that you know. And then over time, and this is kind of like getting to know your home. Don't do this in a day. You don't want to get to know what you love in a day because it takes more time than that. Yeah. So basically go crazy, pin to the heart's content. And then kind of when you get closer to wanting to actually start to action, then I want you to edit. So you don't need 60 pins as your inspiration. That's great when you're getting to know what you love.
Right.
But you really want to kind of go, okay, I need to narrow this down to 1 to 4 inspiration pictures, whatever you want to call them, in order to kind of really have that succinct, clear direction on what you want for your home. And then from there, you can then name your style. So you want to name your style because when you have that in your mind, then you really know when you're shopping whether or not it's kind of like a filter, if you will. So my home, I kind of have the mid-century modern with a hint of rustic. So when I'm shopping, if I look at something and I'm like, I love this, is this going to work? Well, is this mid-century modern with a hint of rustic? No. Okay, move on. So it just helps you kind of really get clarity when you're shopping because let's be real, there's way too many options out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just name your style, really narrow down your inspiration. And what I recommend is taking a picture. And it sounds weird, but you can take a picture of your Pinterest board onto your phone. And when you've narrowed it down to 4, you're going to have one picture on your phone that's basically going to have all of your inspiration there so that anytime, again, you're shopping, you have a point of reference to kind of make the decisions against. So it just makes your life a little bit easier.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. You know, you kind of mentioned something about your taste being sort of a mid-century modern with a taste of a side of rustic.
Yeah.
Would you say that that tends to be one of the themes that's most popular right now, the mid-century modern look? Or are you seeing other themes as sort of more popular? What are you seeing out there?
I would definitely say mid-century modern is very, very popular right now, but there's a lot of different trends kind of infusing themselves into interior design, but we are actually seeing a lot more dark paint colors, things like that. But yeah, mid-century modern is a classic and it's definitely come back in a big way. And, you know, when you look at West Elm, a lot of that's very inspired by mid-century modern.
Yep.
When it comes to kind of establishing your style, though, I do recommend try not to focus too much on what's trendy, you know, especially when it comes to investment pieces. Really make sure that you love everything that you're buying and the style, whatever, and just honestly, don't even worry about trends. Just really focus on what you love, what really resonates with you, your personality, because that's just going to be what's going to last for you long term because you don't want to buy furniture in a year or 2. You want that stuff to last. But you can get crazy and fun with your accessories. That's
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Would you say that age it has been the determinant in terms of what styles people like whether people are more contemporary or modern or mid-century modern? Would you say that their age is dictating that? Or do those things not matter?
I would say my opinion is probably on a person to person. I do think like a younger client would be more interested in what's really trendy. And I think that generally speaking, because of probably budgets that kind of tie into that, you can get away with that a little bit more. You know, when you're younger, your budgets are a little smaller. So, you know, you can go to IKEA, you can get that trendy piece because you're not investing a whole lot of money into it. And you know that, okay, well, I'm moving on to the next apartment. Before I'm buying my home, I'm probably going to maybe upgrade or change that. So it does depend on the person, but I do find that the older the client, the more they kind of know that they want something that's going to stick around and stand the test of time. And that's really what I recommend.
That makes a lot of sense. Do you see a difference when people are decorating a smaller space versus a larger space, let's say a condo versus a house?
A difference as far as style?
Either style, size of furniture. Are there certain things that people need to be more aware of if they're trying to decorate their space for a condo versus a house?
Absolutely. Small spaces, you want to maximize every nook and cranny. And I don't mean like shove stuff in every nook and cranny, but but you want to be finding furniture that really can serve more than one purpose. So, you know, you want it to be functional. So if it's a chair or an ottoman, you know, you want to be able to sit on it, but maybe you want it to also have some space for storage. You also want to think about the colors that you're using. So a lighter, brighter wall color will help make that space feel larger. So absolutely, there's different things to consider when you're dealing with a smaller space. And I think when you're dealing with a smaller space, that's when you really want to make sure you're planning out what you're doing, because if you don't properly plan it out, you might buy furniture that doesn't fit. And, you know, that's going to cost you more money because most furniture stores don't like to take back furniture that you've already opened. And, you know, if it's a flat pack type furniture, they're not going to take that back. So you really want to plan. So there's 3 more steps to your decorating plan. So that's step 3 is actually making a room priority list. But step 4, which is what I think would be really important with a small space and any space, if I'm being honest, is really drawing out your floor plan. So this is something that I find, I don't think I've ever met a homeowner who's actually done this, but you want to draw out your floor plan. And when you were talking about small spaces, this is going to be so crucial to you, because it's going to make sure, again, that you're maximizing the space for your storage, for making sure that you're not buying furniture that's too big. So you want to measure your room. You want to actually draw it out. And there's a lot of great tools online that are available for free. So roomsketcher.com is a great one.
Cool.
Super easy to use. Yeah. And you can draw out your space, and they have like a catalog of furniture that you can like drag in. And what's great about it is you can click on the properties of the furniture and you can resize them. So this is going to really help you make sure that you're basically creating a shopping list of furniture that's the right size for your small space. So basically draw it out, figure out all the furniture you need, and really figure out how you can maximize that space, like cabinets, shelving. Maybe you can create some built-ins in different areas, things like that. Making sure that you have, the right amount of lighting as well. You want to have at least 3 light sources in any room, which a lot of people don't realize. So these are things you want to consider when you're planning things out early on. So you make sure that you have space for that table lamp or the floor lamp or whatever it might be. But what's great about drawing your floor plan is step 5 in creating your decorating plan is really creating your shopping list. Once you create your floor plan, you have all the furniture you need, and it'll actually, you'll be able to tell if you're using roomsketcher.com what size is the ideal size. And then you basically just make a list of all the things you need, associated budget to it, and you're good to go. So it kind of sets you up for success, basically.
That's cool. That's awesome. It's funny because I generally tend to tell clients when they purchase a place to, only buy a couple of pieces before they move into the space, but really wait until they move into the space before to buy the rest of the pieces. Only because I find that people tend to overbuy when they haven't actually moved into the space yet. Is that something that you notice?
Absolutely. And I think that's where really getting to know your space is so important, because also you probably have furniture already that exists moving into your new home that you can probably reuse. So if you don't get ahead of yourself and you give yourself the time, even though I know, like, having bought, a condo and a home myself, you get excited. You're like, I want it all now. I want it to be finished now. But, you want to try to kind of get pull in the reins on that, because what you're going to do is you're going to end up spending more money, or you're not going to be happy with the final product. And, either way, you're losing a little bit. And if you just give yourself that time, like you suggest to your clients, I think that there's a huge benefit to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing I've noticed with respect to, let's say, paint colors, I find that sometimes there's certain houses, if they're painted a certain color, for whatever reason, they sit on the market. So for whatever reason, I've noticed that houses painted mint green just sit, that people just don't vibe with that color. So I guess I always think it's really important to make sure that your house is painted an appropriate color. But are there colors that you would think are sort of like really bad turnoffs to the general public?
Well, as far as, I guess, staging is concerned, I don't do a lot of staging, but I do know, obviously, we're trying to create a space that appeals to the majority of people. And when you start picking colors, it can be really polarizing. So the thing about paint for me is, even if you're staging a home or you're just creating a home for yourself, I really believe that a neutral color is the way to go.
Yeah.
And it's really just about the accessorizing, and it allows you to kind of play up, and you can change things seasonally that way. You can really mix it up. I know some people are into color, and that's cool too. We can always work with that. But generally speaking, and Nate Berkus is a believer in this, and the guy's a god, right? So you can't argue with these guys. So,
Totally.
Right? But yeah, I do find neutrals is definitely the way to go. And I find people get scared of neutrals and they think it's boring. But if you look in any magazine, it's not always about the wall color. Sometimes the wall color can be the star of the show. Sometimes the wall color is really just kind of like the supporting actor. So it really depends, but my preference is always to go neutral.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. On the neutral front, would you say, now it just seems like everything is painted gray. Many years ago, it was painted brown. Do you think that the gray trend is still going to be with us for a while, or do you see another color becoming the new gray anytime soon?
Well, I think the gray is sticking around for a little bit, but this year we did see a lot of like dark, rich paint colors. So people are getting a bit more adventurous, like dark blues, dark greens. And I think if you have the right house, the right architecture, like I think older houses can pull this off a little bit better. When you have like a beautiful crown molding that you can actually use that really dark, rich color to help those architectural elements pop.
Yeah.
Personally for me, it's not something I would do in my own home, but I'm definitely waiting for the client who's going to be adventurous enough to want to do that. But yeah, we're definitely seeing a lot of it. And even actually my mother-in-law, I posted something in my Facebook group and she was like, oh my God, dark red is in. I think I posted something. It was paint colors, something to do with paint colors. And I was like, yeah, man, it's totally back. You don't have to repaint that. I think it's her den. So yeah, she was really excited about that. But it's interesting. I mean, everything always has a cycle, right? Like it always comes